The opposition has announced that it will mark the 8th of November as a black day. The government thinks that this is a seminal anti-black money day. Joining us now, former finance minister and one of India's sharpest economic minds, Mr. P Chidambaram. Welcome. Why do you believe the 8th of November is a black day? The Modi government believes that this is one day when India sent a very strong message to its people and to the world outside that the chalta hai attitude towards black money needed to end, and we would work towards a cleaner India where black money wouldn't have the kind of play it did earlier.
Well, if you wish to believe that black money has been ended or abolished after November 8, 2016, you're welcome to that belief. Let me ask you, was the money that was circulated and found to be circulated by the Election Commission in the R.K. Nagar by-election in Tamil Nadu, was it white money or black money? Was the money seized from a lawyer, a granite exporter, a sand quarrying baron, all over the country? Several raids were conducted, money was seized. They found even 2,000 rupee notes in that hoard of cash. Were those hoards black money or white money? All the money that will be spent and has been spent in Himachal and Gujarat elections, are they black money or white money? If you want to live in a world of illusion that black money ended on November 8 last year, you're welcome to live in that world of illusion. We live in a real world, and we condemn demonetization because it has heaped misery on millions and millions of people.
The government's principal assertion, Mr. Chidambaram, is that no one move would end black money forever. They say the biggest takeaway from black money is that a lot of the black money, which was hidden below pillows or under beds under your regime, is now locked in vaults, and you've got the income tax department scrutinizing through data mining where this money has come from. Notices being sent out, they're saying we will find the black money and the culprits will be caught.
Good luck to the income tax department. We'll ask this question and we'll give an answer after 10 years. Don't be carried away by these extravagant statements or extravagant claims. When they actually adjudicate a case and finally confiscate a certain amount of money, I will count that as black money that has been confiscated. And after they finish their cases, let us total it up to find out how much black money was confiscated. The fundamental error in your argument is black money is not kept in cash. A very small part of black money is in cash. Most of the unaccounted money, that's the correct expression, most of the unaccounted money is in property, is in jewelry, is in shares, is in securities. It's only a very small part of unaccounted money that's in cash.
To which the government says, Mr. Chidambaram, that don't look at demonetization alone, look at the entire ecosystem of reforms we've put in place. They cite the seizing of the assets of shell companies, the Real Estate Regulation Authority, they cite the Benami Properties Act and say, look at all of what we've done together, including the Insolvency Code. All of this together, working in tandem, will lead to a cleaner India.
Let's see. Don't count your chicken before they are hatched. When on November 8, the Prime Minister went on television, he said the first objective was to end black money, as though this one move will end black money. I didn't hear him say, and you can play that speech all over again, I didn't hear him say that this is only a small part of a multi-pronged attack. And now that you know that your demonetization move is unraveled, actually, it unraveled faster than I thought it will unravel. Unraveled. And the whole country is against demonetization. Just look at this morning's Delhi edition of the newspaper, The Hindu. There's a 4-page supplement which lists the misery on all the small and medium traders who've been hit first by demonetization and second by GST. Benami Act was there. Now let's see how many Benami properties they seize. I wish them good luck. I wish them good luck on the shell companies. But why did you tout demonetization as the biggest weapon against black money? And why are you celebrating November 8 as Anti-Black Money Day?
Speaking at a poll rally in Himachal Pradesh, the Prime Minister said, reaching out to all those who work with rich people and may have Binami property in their name on behalf of whoever they work with, saying that I want all of you not to give this unaccounted property back to your owners. Keep it, it's now yours. That's how I will deal with Binami property. Do you believe that's at all practical?
He has made an appeal. Let's see how many people have Binami property and how many people say, yes, I'm a Binami for so-and-so, but I will not return the property. And let's see how many people make that statement. I mean, these are very, very attractive statements when made from a high rostrum to an audience that is sitting 500 feet away. It's only when the Prime Minister sits down one-on-one with someone like you, and I hope you will have the wisdom and the courage to ask him hard questions, and then we will know what is the merit of these statements.
Well, I hope that I do have the opportunity to ask him some hard questions.
You still have 16 months to try your luck.
Absolutely. Meanwhile, I want to tell you what Finance Minister Arun Jaitley said. When asked about, there not being adequate tangible takeaways from demonetization, he said, at least we are trying to fight black money. Ask the Congress government in all the years that they were in power, why did they not do anything about it? The problem of black money happened under your watch.
Why would we do anything foolish like demonetization? Demonetization is an absolutely foolish move. Why would we do that? We did other things. We got the Liechtenstein list. We got the list from France, Germany. We launched prosecutions. We started investigation. The Panama Papers fell in their lap, and the Paradise Papers have fallen in their lap. What have they got over and above the Liechtenstein Papers and the France-Germany Papers? We did a lot to root out unaccounted money. But as I've explained several times, in a country where there is legitimate untaxed income and there's legitimate taxable income, legitimate untaxable income, agriculture, charities, religious trusts, scheduled tribes, northeastern people, people who have an income below the threshold of 2.5 lakhs, that is legitimate untaxable income, sits side by side with legitimate taxable income. It's very difficult to say what is the color of the money unless you tell me in whose hands it is and what he did with that money. It's very difficult to say this is black money, this is white money.
But the government would argue, Mr. Chidambaram, that to change habits inculcated over decades, there has to be a trigger. And their suggestion is that demonetization was that push where people were told that this whole attitude of evading tax as the first option is no longer okay. And a lot of people have got the message that it's better to pay some tax than to try and dodge the system.
You don't do that by heaping misery on people. One third of the workers of this country are casual workers. That's about 15 crore people. They were put to untold hardship. They went hungry. Their families went hungry for several days. They didn't find work at all for 3 or 4 months. Small businesses were wiped out. Micro businesses were absolutely extinguished. Farm workers did not get jobs for several days, several weeks. Over 100 people died standing in the queues. By my calculation, for several weeks, 11 crore people stood outside bank branches and ATMs. You don't do that. You don't do that kind of thing. Even a natural calamity could not have heaped so much misery on so many people.
But the question now is the worst behind us, or are we still in the midst of the downturn? The government's calculation is, and we had Bibek Debroy, chairman of the Prime Minister's Economic Advisory Council, who just told us that he believes that when GDP figures for the second quarter come out, the numbers would indicate that the GDP in the second quarter grew at 6.5%, more than the 5.7% of the last quarter, suggesting that the bottom had been hit and we were moving up. What's your calculation, sir?
Even when I gave the GDP figures for 6 quarters, I said it's quite possible that 5.7 is the bottom. It could be that the next quarter is 6. but it could be the quarter after that as 5.8. You can't...
What's your calculation?
There's no calculation. It all depends upon the monsoon, agricultural production, whether there is demand picks up, credit picks up. So whether it's 5.7 or 6.2 is neither here nor there. What is important is, what is the trend growth rate? We always look at the trend growth rate. Since April 2016, the trend growth rate is declining. If it turns and then the trend growth rate becomes 6 or 7 or 8, I'll be very happy. But I have no indication that the trend growth rate is going to be 7 or 8.
How much of this misery and the fall in GDP do you attribute to demonetization? Because Dr. Debroy believes that this is part of a structural slowing down of the economy over various quarters and had nothing to do with demonetization. He in fact challenged any economist to quantify how much of the fall was attributable directly to demonetization.
Well, you look at the figures. Demonetization was done in the quarter October, November, December 2016. And that quarter, the growth rate was 7%, according to their own figures. This is a revised methodology. If you go by the old methodology, it'll be much lower, but I'll accept the revised methodology for the sake of argument. After that, we've had 2 quarters, January, February, March 2017, in which the growth rate was 6.1, and then April, May, June 2017, growth rate was 5.7. So between demonetization and the last quarter for which figures are available, the fall is from 7 to 5.7. That's a steep fall.
How much of this is attributable to demonetization and how much is attributable to a structural slowing down?
Who can say? Nobody can say that. I don't think even the government's economists can actually bifurcate it and say this is attributable to this, this is attributable
But you
to that.
accept that the bottom has been hit and we're moving up?
I don't know. We may move up next quarter, but we may come down the next quarter, the quarter after that. Unless I see trend growth rate, which is why we waited for 6 quarters before we said the trend growth rate is declining. We have to wait for 6 more quarters to say whether the trend growth rate is upward.
You know, whether demonetization has passed or failed is a battle that's being fought on 2 fronts. One, you've got the economists battling it out over whether demonetization was a success or a failure.
That's the only relevant battle.
The other is the political battle, because you've got elections in Himachal Pradesh and in Gujarat. If the BJP were to win Himachal and Gujarat, would that be a validation of what the government
It's a facile conclusion. I'm surprised that you should make that.
I'm asking a question.
I'm answering that. 5 election results came out on the same day. In UP, the BJP scored a resounding victory. So you conclude people have approved demonetization. In Punjab, they had a shattering defeat. Therefore, you have to conclude that the people of Punjab voted against demonetization. Now look at the other 3 states. In Uttarakhand, BJP was number 1. In Goa, Congress was number 1, BJP was number 2. In Manipur, Congress was number 1, the BJP was number 2. It's a different matter. They stole the election, but they didn't win the election. In 3 states, there were number 1 in 1 state and number 2 in 2 other states. If you take all 5 states then, it is only in 2 states they were number 1. In 3 states they were number 2. So I don't think you can draw the conclusion which you think I'm drawing. I'm not drawing the other conclusion either, that the people voted against demonetization. Because that will be facile. It will be a wrong conclusion. People in elections do not vote on any one single issue. They vote on multiple issues. Demonetization was one issue among many issues on which they voted.
No, but the Congress party is making the GST as an example in the Gujarat polls, and
not to say Gujarat polls will be a referendum on GST, just to highlight how a flawed GST and a faulty implementation has created utter confusion in Gujarat and elsewhere. To make the point, if the government makes a mistake, we are entitled as opposition to highlight that mistake, not to make it as if it is a subject matter of a referendum. Who has used the word referendum? It's only you guys are saying, if you vote for, if the vote is in favor, it is for, the vote is against, it's against. I don't think people vote on any one issue. In Gujarat, for example, they will vote on many issues. Atrocities on Dalits, the denial of justice to OBC, the Patidar demands which have been unmet for several years, the drought and the farmers' distress in large parts of Gujarat, including Saurashtra, the incompetence of the present government. They changed one chief minister, and the other chief minister turns out to be equally incompetent. The corruption cases against the ministers, the multiple issues in which GST will obviously be a major issue, because from Surat, from Rajkot, from every part of Gujarat, you get not anecdotal evidence, real true stories of how much misery has been heaped upon micro, small and medium businesses.
While that may be true, the fact also is that a lot of these sections are long-time supporters of the BJP, and while they may be angry and frustrated with some of the things that the Modi government has done, do you believe that the level of anti-incumbency is so high that it will lead to a change in voting pattern? Do you, Mr. Chidambaram, believe that anti-incumbency is so strong that the Congress will win Gujarat this time?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't live in Gujarat. I don't work in Gujarat. I can only go by what I gather on my infrequent visits from my colleagues. And I would be the last man to predict whether Party A will win or Party B will win. All I can say is the Congress party is extremely upbeat. Congress rallies, Congress meetings are attracting very large crowds. There is a lot of unhappiness and ferment among different sections of the people. All that gives us the confidence that we will do well. But whether we will go over the halfway mark or not, it's for the voters to decide. But we hope to do well. Our party is confident it will do well. And wait until the results come. Don't predict election results even before the notification.
What are you making of the new avatar of Rahul Gandhi that we're seeing? Do you see this as a new, energized, different avatar of Rahul Gandhi?
See, these are descriptions which you like to make about political leaders. It all depends upon what response one gets from the people. If the people warm up to a party, the party will be energized. If the party is energized and goes to the people, people will warm up to the party. You can't say these are sort of interdependent issues. I think his speeches, his tweets have acquired a new edge because he finds that people are warmer towards the Congress party today than before.
Do you think the mood is turning?
I can't say. I don't live in Gujarat. I don't work.
No, but nationally.
No, nationally there is a great deal of unrest and unhappiness. I can see the change in the social media. I can see the change in the people whom I come into contact with casually. Railway stations, airports, meetings, public places. I can see people whom I don't know walk up to me and ask me questions. Ask me even questions like, when are you guys coming back? And I was talk answer, whenever you guys vote us to power. But I think there is clearly a mood change. And I don't think even the BJP will deny there is a mood change. BJP MPs have told me there is a mood change.
Which MPs have told you?
I can't give you names, but that will be disclosing a private conversation. You'll have to believe me when I say BJP MPs have told me there is a mood change. But they don't believe that they will lose the election. But they believe that there is a mood change.
But the government would argue that the Congress is now rallying all those who for the longest time have evaded taxes, instead of enabling the movement towards a cleaner tax-compliant India, part of the process which allowed the black economy to flourish. Therefore, people are not used to paying taxes honestly.
Rubbish. Please remember, in the last 20 years, beginning 1997, in the last 20 years, the Congress has been in power for 10 years and the BJP has been in power for 10 years. Many of you forget that. 6 years of Mr. Vajpayee, 3 years and 6 months of Mr. Narendra Modi adds up to 9.5 years. And in fact, when they complete the term in May, they will have a full 10 years of the last 20 years. So don't forget that 20 years Congress has been in power for 10 years, BJP has been in power for 10 years. Something which your viewers must know, something that you must know. Because every time I see anchors, columnists, writers say, Congress has been in power. You forget that in the last 20 years, 10 years, the BJP has been in power.
One of the things the government cites in its defense is a strong message of deterrence, saying that when notices are sent out, when seizures happen, when there are raids, businessmen who've been following corrupt practices get a very stern message that this will not do, and they realize they have to mend their behavior.
Is it a deterrence? Then how does the Income Tax Department continue to raid people? If there is such a powerful message of deterrence that is gone, thanks to demonetization, how do they still find hoards of cash in people they raid? All that should have vanished by now. All those bad habits should have disappeared by now. Please understand there are sectors of the Indian economy that generate cash every day. There are sectors of the Indian economy which demand cash every day. As long as there is a demand for cash, there will be a supply of cash. I've written a column about it, pointing out which sectors demand cash to keep the wheels moving. As long as that demand is there, there will be generation of cash. You can't deal with it by a measure called demonetization. It was a wrong measure. It was a foolish measure. It did not put an end to black money. But I commend the government for taking other steps. For example, we took steps. Who set up the FIU? I set up the FIU. Who introduced third-party reporting? Third-party reporting was introduced by the UPA government. For example, if you buy a car, the car dealer has to report it. If you register a property, the registrar of properties has to report. We introduced third-party reporting. I even introduced banking cash transaction tax as a transitory measure until the FIU was set up and operational. So we have done a number of things. Look at the Income Tax Act. So do other things. Improve upon what the UPA did, but don't tout demonetization as the answer to black money.
Do you believe the linking of Aadhaar numbers with bank account numbers and transactions will be that one move which takes the process of the fight against black money even further?
Linking Aadhaar to bank accounts has no relevance at all. Bank accounts already require a KYC, know your customer. Nobody can open a bank account without going through the KYC process. So one assumes that the bank has already done a KYC before it opens an account. Linking Aadhaar to bank account does not improve the transparency of the banking transaction. Actually, there are serious issues about privacy, which my committee, the Department-related Standing Committee on Home Affairs, is examining. And we are seriously concerned about how all these databases which stand in silos today, the Aadhaar could be the tool by which a clever hacker, somebody sitting in some country abroad, can enter all these databases and construct a 360 profile of, say, Rahul Kanwal.
But is it not the case that the push towards Aadhaar is something that you strongly believed in?
Of course.
And at a time when the National Population Register was being pushed by other ministers, you actually believed that Aadhaar was the way to go. And the Modi government would argue that they are doing more efficiently what Chidambaram wanted to do in the first instance.
They are doing it beyond the remit of Aadhaar, beyond the mandate of Aadhaar. Aadhaar was intended to be linked to benefits that are transferred to the people, linked to direct benefit transfer. We linked it to subsidies, scholarships, pension payments, all the benefits of government going to A or B or C. We wanted to avoid duplication, or eliminate duplication, eliminate falsification. That was the purpose of Aadhaar. If you want to go beyond benefits, you're no longer linking it to direct benefit transfer. You are making it as a condition for various services. For example, if I buy an air ticket, why should I give an Aadhaar? If I buy a train ticket, why should I give an Aadhaar?
Why not? Because you've also been the Minister of Home Affairs, and fighting terrorism is a big problem. You've got so many illegal immigrants coming in, you've got terrorists moving around. If it's linked to Aadhaar, and you wanted to set up the National Counter-Terror Center, you'd be able to track the transactions that are happening. And this, cross your heart and tell me, Mr.
I'm crossing my heart and telling you, you must open your mind and listen to me. Why do you link Aadhaar to an air ticket? Air ticket is booked either by a credit card, debit card, or through a travel agent, or you buy a check. If you link Aadhaar to an air ticket, and then over a period of time, I can construct a profile of where you travel, when you travel. But why should the government know this? This is an Orwellian state. Why should it be linked to a train ticket? Why should it be linked to what I buy in a supermarket? People will find out what I consume, whether I consume more vegetables or more meat. Why should they know that? Please understand there are serious issues of privacy, which is why the Supreme Court says, yes, we would have to hear this and set down November end as a hearing date. There are serious issues of privacy. Linking Aadhaar to direct benefits is one thing. Linking Aadhaar, which will pave the way for an Orwellian state, is another thing.
But tell me.
We're moving away from demonetization.
No, but it's also linked in a sense, because are we heading towards a cleaner, more tax-compliant India? That's essentially what we're talking about.
We should head towards a cleaner, tax-compliant India. Tax compliance has improved. Look at the number of people in 2004 and number of people in 2014. It has improved dramatically. If you want to improve it further from 2014 to 2019, you're jolly well welcome to do that. But don't make tax compliance subordinate to concerns about privacy, concerns about exclusion. A lot of people will get excluded if you link Aadhaar to all these activities. The poor will get excluded. Therefore, there are serious concerns about exclusion, serious concerns about privacy. Everything cannot be subordinated to this one goal: we must become a tax-compliant country. Of course, that is an important goal, but other goals are equally important. Other values are equally important. Privacy is, in my view, the most important core of personal liberty.
One of the data points that the government cites in its defense of demonetization is the cash to GDP ratio, saying that earlier we were at about 12.6%, which is higher than most comparable economies. Now it's down to about 9%, suggesting that the prevalence of cash in the Indian economy is substantially lower than earlier, and if they hadn't done demonetization, then the amount of cash of high denomination notes would have been in the range of 18 lakh crore rupees by now, more than earlier.
See, how much cash there should be in an economy to finance economic activity is a matter for the Reserve Bank of India, not a matter for the government. Cash is money supply. How much money supply there is, it's now econometrics. People have devised various formula to arrive at how much money supply there should be there. Government cannot decide by fiat. I decide that money supply must be less than what it was. It all depends upon how much the GDP requires. In fact, there are arguments which say this artificial forced reduction of money supply by the RBI at the instance of government is one of the reasons why demand has fallen. One of the reasons why demand has fallen. In many sectors, demand has fallen sharply because the money supply is less today. And in many parts of India, the money supply is so scarce that there is hardly any economic activity. But I don't think the government is the arbiter of how much money supply there should be there. Why should there be a Reserve Bank of India? Let the RBI say, I've done my calculations, and the current level of money supply is sufficient to sustain 8% growth. I've not heard the RBI say that.
How badly do you believe the RBI's autonomy has been impacted post-demonetization?
RBI's image has taken a severe beating. In the Basel meeting of governors of central banks, India occupied a pride of place. We've lost that place. RBI is now making a rear guard effort to regain some credibility by standing firm on reducing interest rates, which for other reasons I think is wrong. I think interest rates must be reduced, but that's a different story.
I'm searching for a headline. How much do you believe there is scope for interest rates to come down?
I think there is considerable scope, at least 50 basis points straight away. Inflation is low, and if this is the time to reduce interest
But you can't say both things. You can't say that RBI autonomy is being impacted, and on the other side you've got all the financial heavyweights of the government suggesting that RBI should move towards reducing interest rates, and they still haven't done that.
No, RBI is doing a rear guard effort to retrieve the lost image. It made a mistake then. It's making another mistake to retrieve that image.
No, but this is something that the government said. When the decision on Ahmed Patel was taken by the Election Commission, that time the Election Commission was independent. When it decides to de-link the Gujarat polls from the Himachal polls, that time the Election Commission is dancing at the behest of the Modi government.
An absurd argument. We used to have what are known as quarterly examinations, half-yearly examinations, annual examinations. You did very well in the quarterly examination. For some reason, you did badly in the half-yearly examination. Do I still give you marks which I gave you in the quarterly examination? That exam you wrote well, you got 90 marks. This exam you wrote badly, you got 35 marks.
Speaking of marks, how many marks would you give demonetization on a scale of 1 to 10?
I would give it -10. Demonetization is an absolutely foolish move. In the heart of hearts, the BJP leaders know that. MPs know that. MPs go back to their constituency, they know that. But the Prime Minister won't admit it. But that's
no, but would you credit him with the ability of spinning the narrative in a way that people believe that he still got it right? Because they did win UP. They did win UP after demonetization.
They lost
UP
Punjab.
is a huge state. You saw how
wait a minute. Don't go by the size of the state. We are talking about elections in big states, elections in small states. Unless you want to go on record and say Punjab doesn't count in the Indian political map. Punjab is an important state, an advanced state, a state which has been in the forefront of agricultural revolution, industrial revolution. The people of Punjab voted, giving a resounding victory to the Congress and a resounding defeat to the BJP. I do not conclude from that they voted against demonetization. Likewise, you should not conclude that the people of UP voted for demonetization.
But we must conclude, and I want to conclude with some data the government cites. This is about whether the worst is behind us and we're on an upturn now. They're citing high-frequency indicators for consumption, such as two-wheelers and passengers vehicle sales, which have gone up 14%, fuel consumption up 10%, festive sales for e-commerce portals up 15%, other macroeconomic indicators like export growth up 25%, industrial production up 4.6%, to say that the future is bright, the worst is behind.
Let me give you other data points. Diwali sales are down by 25 to 40%. You saw the Agra Convention of Footwear Federation, day before yesterday, said that our sales are down 60%. Surat, Bhiwandi, Ichalkaranji, Tirupur, just go there. Everybody will tell you sales are down by 40%. Credit growth is the lowest in 20 years. Gross fixed capital formation has fallen almost 6 to 8 percentage points. So data for data, I can match you and outwit you on data. Don't try this data argument upon me. You can always cherry pick. You pick two-wheelers and automobiles. What about other things? I've had a long conversation with garment exporters. They are bleeding. And if exports have picked up in the last 3-4 months, I'm very happy. I'm very happy they picked up. But for nearly 16 months, exports have declined. And remember, one data point. In 2013-14, the last year of the UPA government, merchandise export crossed $300 billion for the first time. In the 3 years of the NDA government, it has not crossed $300 billion. Merchandise export is still below $300 billion. So you are looking at month-on-month growth or year-on-year growth. But if you look at the absolute peak that we touched, in 2013-14, $300 billion. This government has not crossed that peak.
Okay, Mr. Chidambaram, you've given demonetization -10 on 10. We'd leave it to our viewers to make what they will of the arguments that you've put forward. But we really want to thank you for taking out time and joining us here at the demonetization field.
I hope you will join the Black Day movement.
Thank you very much for joining us.